Is the Porsche Taycan better than a Tesla? I've driven various iterations of Teslas for the last 5 years, the Model S, the X, and now Model 3 Performance, but as with anything and my interest in switching from iPhone to Android, I find myself wondering if there is another electric car out there that can rival the absolute domination that Tesla has seen in recent years. So today, the good people at Porsche Centre in Portsmouth have given me this Porsche Taycan for a few days so I can compare and genuinely think about whether I want to switch away from my Tesla to a Porsche. Porsche or Porsche? If you are new here, then hi, my name is Pete, and on this channel we help busy entrepreneurs find the best tech, be productive, and stay safe online. And this is by far and definitely one of the most expensive, but also the most fun piece of tech that I've had on this channel. Now, this car in this spec comes in at almost 100,000 UK pounds, and I'll throw up the specs on the screen for those of you who want to kind of geek out on the specs. But for now, we're going to put price aside and then come back to that at the end. So firstly, looks, and from the outside, there is no denying it. Yes, okay, this is a very, very sexy looking car. From its big wheels, smooth lines, and cool lights, I'll already give this to the Taycan. They look far better than a Tesla. Sorry, Tesla people, my opinion, but it just does. You also still get a good sized boot, or trunk for the Americans, and space in the front, or frunk as everybody calls it. And you also strangely get 2 charging ports. Not quite sure why they've done that, but both of them use AC charging for your slower rate of charging when at home or stopping over somewhere. And then the other one on the passenger side for DC charging, which gives you that rapid charge. Which, speaking of rapid charging, the Taycan can charge at 225 kilowatts, which is very near Tesla's current, I think it's V3 supercharging standard of 250 kilowatts. Inside, and it's pretty much the same story as outside. I mean, it's got a very plush interior with comfortable electric memory seats and just this whole center console, armrest, dashboard driving position layout thing is just incredibly comfortable. Again, more than any Teslas I've ever driven before. Now, in terms of tech and screen real estate, you have a display in front of you, in the center, also a touch display near your arm for a quick access to controls like air conditioning, and you can also add on yet another screen over here for the passenger, which looks really, really slick. Now, the driver screen is fairly similar to the Model S on Tesla, where you can show any combination of maps and music and stats on the car and all that kind of stuff. And speaking of music, I have to say that I absolutely love the sound system in this car. Now, this does have the upgraded Bose sound system, which is an extra £956, but I definitely love it. It is head over heels far better than the premium sound system in both my Tesla Model 3 and the Model S. And it also one-ups Tesla for actually finally having Apple CarPlay, both wired and wireless. But with Android kind of auto support not yet available. They are announcing support for that sometime in 2022, I believe. But I found myself pretty much living inside the Apple CarPlay interface because, well, the interface is really simple. Whereas the Porsche infotainment interface, not so much. So many menus, so many options, and I found myself hunting around constantly to find the right menu. But other than the menu system itself, it just sounds incredible. So, well, it's all looking really good in general, but there are a couple of things straight away that bug me with the inside of this car. Firstly, this touchscreen to adjust the heating controls and kind of quick access. It is neat and it gives you haptic feedback when you press items on the screen, but I did find it took some getting used to know, well, how much pressure was needed to register the press. And also because it is touch, I found myself needing to firstly look to find the right area to touch, which whilst you're driving can be pretty distracting, particularly when you don't have anything as good as Tesla's autopilot in any of these just yet. And secondly, I'm not a Porsche driver, but really, why would you have the gear selector up here on this weird thing that kind of looks like it's where the key should go? To me, it just feels awkward when you're in that standard driving position of one hand on the wheel and one resting on the console, forcing you to then shift position to shift into reverse or forward. Whereas on the Tesla, they're on the right stalk, which makes it really easy to switch whilst driving. Okay, so inside the car now, cabin noise. It is so much better in here. It's quieter overall, and you still get to hear the electric whine noise that I've come to love so much when you accelerate. And acceleration, which in this model is just okay. It's officially a 0 to 60 in 5.1 second car, which is actually 2 seconds more than the Model 3 Performance. Though, don't forget that, of course, this is the base model of the Taycan, but I was a little bit surprised that it's a significant difference to the Model 3. Also, for those dinosaurs who like making vroom vroom, you can still switch on a fake engine noise, which is again kind of okay. It basically uses the speakers in the car to play like this fake engine noise so that when you accelerate, anybody in the car gets to pretend they've got an engine. Except, well, to me, it doesn't sound like an engine. It just sounds more like electric whiny motors to me. Each their own. And because of that cabin noise and the really, really great sound system, those of you like important businessy types who are driving a lot and on important businessy type phone calls will be delighted to know that I've never heard phone calls clearer whilst in a car than in this Taycan. Whether it is like a mixture of maybe Apple CarPlay sending clearer audio, the speakers being better, or just the quieter interior, it is so much easier to have a conversation with anybody. Whereas in the Tesla, I find myself having to turn the volume up to hear them and then like shouting back at them, which is a bit awkward at times. Which brings me to an interesting test. Now let's talk about one of my biggest concerns with Porsche, because as you probably already know, Tesla has by far the best charging networks around not just the UK, but pretty much the entire world. They boast over 2,500 locations worldwide and over 25,000 individual superchargers. Whereas Porsche, well, for now, you'll be needing to rely on a myriad of third-party charging networks, which all come with their own issues of reliability and cost and of course, waiting. Because at most motorway service stations, Tesla will have a bank of say like 10 chargers, but every other EV on the road will have their choice of just one, maybe 2 chargers, and that's it. There's also a second problem here because according to Elon Musk, Tesla are opening up their charging networks to another car manufacturer later this year. And if you're a Porsche driver, then you think this was fantastic, except... well, there's a problem that needs to be fixed somehow. And then there is the other elephant in the room, and probably the biggest debate ever, which is price. Because this car costs twice as much as a Model 3 Performance, and this is just the base model with a few extras. Actually, the base cost of this car is actually the same price as the Model 3, but once you add on all of the extras, which with Porsche is basically everything as an optional extra, it doubles the price of the car. And that's kind of a good thing, because this does make it the most customizable Porsche ever. But also, it's a bit of a nightmare going through the 90 options that you can configure. So weighing up whether I would get this over my current Model 3 Performance is quite difficult. I mean, for positives, well, I love the looks. It's definitely one that turns heads like I did with my last Model S, which was wrapped. I love the features like the wireless Apple CarPlay, the comfort, the fit and the finish. It also has little nods to Tesla, like the door handles that present themselves when you walk up to it. The negatives for me, well, it is double the price. The infotainment system is overcomplicated in my opinion, but perhaps you do get used to that, and even on this particular model, it's missing things like adaptive cruise control, a 5th seat in the back, and doesn't come with Tesla's famed autopilot unless you add on their advanced cruise control. And even the charging cables are an optional extra, which would take the cost of this car to well over 100,000 once you've added all those options. But the one that is probably the deal breaker for, well, many Tesla drivers is the charging network, because currently Tesla is the only car that you can confidently drive from one end of the country to the other without any concern about charging. Now, the only final negativity around this car is, well, its availability, because if you were to order one today, I've been told you're looking at late 2022 before you will actually get it. So, what do you think? Would you buy this car over a Tesla? And why? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you're curious to check out more of the Tesla videos, then check out this playlist of videos, or check out this one which YouTube probably thinks you should watch next. Otherwise, thanks for watching, talk to you in the next one, bye bye.